Hey, welcome back to the Signature Movement. It's your girl Tanya D. Floyd. I was having an early morning epiphany, and it became a late morning. Squeeze it in because people keep interrupting me. But this is like my third version of this video because it was just so much information. It was too long, and I didn't think you would sit for that. So let me just get to the highlights of the thing. ADHD. I want us to practice saying this one thing when it comes to people that we have learned have ADHD. We're not going to break it down. We're not going to say it's bull. We're not going to say that's not a real thing or none of that. We have to remember to say these words when we hear that someone has ADHD. They literally cannot. You're going to think, why they can't just do right? They literally cannot. And when I say do right, it's just a general term for how come they can't remember nothing. Executive function disorder comes with ADHD. There are at least 7 executive functions, and what do the executive functions come from? The brain. Literally, physically, chemically, physiologically, medically, psychologically, however you want to break it down, the brain is unable to make that person's body do that thing in the way that you expect it. We got to start thinking differently about people who think differently. Neurodivergent people think and process and act differently because of their brain. It's a real thing, okay? It's not something you can diagnose with a blood test or a body fluid of any kind test. It's about practice, behaviors. It's about a series of actions and practices and habits that have been observed in a certain way that come together to make it the thing, the ADHD, okay? It's real. I used to be one of those, people who would say, everybody want to tell you your kid got ADHD. They all want to give you medicine. And I think there's something wrong with a bunch of adults out here because they did. They just want to give that baby some medicine so they can slow down. Sit down and be still. What grown up in this world believes the kids should just sit down, be still, be quiet? What? You ain't got none. Or you ain't doing it right if you do, if that's what you believe. I got a 5-month-old grandson who wants to jump. He wants to be constantly entertained, stimulated. He want to chew on his hands. He want to talk loud when he want to talk loud. He want to roll around on the bed, and he has boundless energy. 5 months. 4-year-old grandson, he walks around learning things all day, and he can't stop talking to me about what he learned because he loves it. This is a new place. This place is huge, humongous. I don't care what place you live in. Outside of that place is humongous. All of the senses are engaged. They are learning through their environments. They are learning through their senses. You know how much information that is every single second? You know how many colors you can see looking at one tree? You know how many shapes of leaves you can see looking at one tree? You know how many patterns and textures there are? You can look at one skyline and God, you could do it for hours and still miss something in the visual. Kids are here to learn and absorb information. They can't be still and quiet. If they do, something's wrong. And that's just my view as a parent, okay? But it's also a fact. So don't get it twisted. So anyway, kids ain't supposed to sit down and be still and be quiet. They are supposed to have the ability to do it for a time and not a long time. You can help train that ability for them to sit down and be quiet while you teach them something, or sit down and be quiet while you're talking to them, or sit down and be quiet while it's nap time. But they ain't gonna be still too. They're not gonna do all 3 of them at the same time for a long time, okay? It's wrong. Don't ask them to do that. It ain't right. That's abuse. Don't do that to them kids. Leave kids alone. Stop giving them kids medicine because they got ADHD. You don't have to give it to them just because they got it. You can help them learn strengths tools to help tackle ADHD. What is ADHD? Everybody keep throwing around, rolling around. Ain't nobody picked up the internet and looked up nothing because it ain't their problem. Everybody out here walking around ignorant. I'm tired of the ignorant grown-ups. Stop being ignorant. Stop being stupid. Stupidity, in my opinion, is applied ignorance. It's when you decide to be ignorant on purpose. That's stupid. Stop. Grown-ups gotta do better because ADHD is a real thing. It's here to stay. Now, my suspicion is it became more not accepted. What's the word? It became more, oh God, what's the word? People pay attention to it more now because I believe more adults were being diagnosed with it. At a certain point, you know, the wokeness, the wellness, the healing, the people who keep throwing the word toxic around all the time, and narcissists, those people who learn those words and using them all the time, those kinds of people decided, you know what, I'm going to take more of a interest in going to therapy. I'm going to be more intentional about my life and making it better. And they realized that it wasn't their problem all along. It was not their problem. They were not faulty in relationships. They were not selfish or flighty or wrong in any way. It was ADHD this whole time messing up their lives because they did not know how to navigate life with it. But it is our job as a society. It is our individual jobs as parents. It is our job as human beings to acknowledge that other people out here are struggling with things they cannot control. Let me hear you say these words. They literally cannot. Remind yourself every time you think you know something about somebody and how they doing something that's so wrong and why won't they literally cannot. Say that to yourself and believe it because it's possibly true. A lot of people have been diagnosed, but a lot of people haven't. They've been having this thing their whole lives. It's like something that they can identify in childhood, and if you catch it and you start working on it, it's going to be hard as crap. Let me just say that now. I struggle daily with ADHD. I don't have it, but I live with it because my son has it. That is an awful roommate to have. Let me tell you. Not my son. ADHD. ADHD is responsible for a lot of the tension in my household because I am all wired to structure, analyze, what's my thing? Strategize, plan, dotted I's and cross T's. That's me. They say I'm OCD. I have not been diagnosed. However, I am very, very compulsive about certain things, and I'm very, very focused on some things. I'm not obsessive about anything. I can use self-control when necessary, so there's that. But ADHD, they literally cannot. What do I mean? Executive function disorder. Executive functions are functions of the brain that, like, you know, help you navigate your life through the day. For instance, time management. Well, the concept of time. Your brain allows you to, you know, without even, you don't think about it, but you instinctively know, oh, it's pretty much afternoon. Several hours have passed since I ate breakfast. Several hours have passed since I, you know, ate dinner. Or it's time to go to sleep. I just know it because of certain clues in the air or whatever. How your brain just be like, hey, it's been a long time since this, that, and the other. We need to do something. You know how you get on TikTok and you go down the rabbit hole? You know you've been on there for 4 hours. But you gotta look at the clock and be like, oh my God, I've been on here for 4 hours. I feel terrible. Let me go be productive. They literally cannot. They be like on TikTok until their bodies just fall asleep. And then they wake up and do it again. They could. Because they literally cannot with the time. Time means nothing. I gotta get up and go to school. 8:30, I need to be, you know, finished getting dressed. And I need to be at the bus stop at eat whatever. They literally cannot. It will be. I can't find my shirt. I can't find my pants. I don't know where my socks are. I can't find my book bag. Have you seen my watch? They literally cannot. There are many things that they literally cannot. But there are so many things that they literally cannot that you owe it to yourself and to humanity to learn about the things that they literally cannot. Okay? I'm saying it's an epidemic. That's a bad word. All these things that I keep trying to find ways of describing it and talking about it without making it sound derogatory, because it's not. They literally cannot. It's not their fault. It's not shame. It's not, reproach and constant berating, because they literally cannot. I don't know if y'all fully understand that they literally cannot, but I want you to keep saying it. I want you to keep hearing me say it. Anytime you come across something and you just, oh my God, why won't they? Why can't they? They literally cannot. It's the brain. Brain controls everything. The neural pathways in that brain just take different paths than yours. Stop. I swear my toughest job as a parent of a child with ADHD is balancing my responsibility to teach him tools to navigate through life without ADHD hindering him, and be remembering and understanding and implementing the fact that he is deserving of and he requires love, understanding, support, and respect. They're not negotiable. They must be given. And at the same time, I have to constantly teach him through. Often I have to, a thing happened yesterday. We were eating pizza. He opened the little, they give you this little cup of garlic liquid. I ain't gonna say it's butter. I don't know if it's oil. I don't know. I don't use it. But it says garlic on it, and you dip your pizza or whatever. Well, his spilled on the plate, and I saw him take a piece of pizza and just wipe it around the plate, just trying to get as much of it as he could. And instinctively, my body went, "Don't do that. That's fat. Don't do that." That little baby, he 4 years old. I ain't gonna say he got ADHD, but every few minutes he'll come and tell me something I ain't never care about knowing. And I gotta act like I care about knowing it. So there's that. So anyway, I had to catch myself, and I didn't necessarily calmly say it, but I had to say, "You're doing that thing again. I need you to realize when you're doing the thing so you can stop doing the thing. And then you can sidetrack it and go do some other thinking, some other thing, physically, whatever you gotta do. But stop that right there and say, I'm doing that. Let me go do something else." I'm trying to teach him. That's too much. There's two I's that I associate and that I've read about associated with ADHD. The I words are impulsiveness and inattentiveness. Impulsiveness is that I like it, I want more. I want it, I'm going to take it. I want to do this. I like how it feels. I'm going to keep feeling that. It's that constant feeding of I want. Then inattentiveness is literally, I ain't got no time to be focused on that. I cannot. I will not. I don't see that. I don't hear that. I don't know nothing about that. You said something? Oh, what you say? Oh. So you want me to go to the kitchen and do what again? That executive function thing is like at least 7 executive functions. I told you about. One is time, one is memory. It's hard to get them to remember certain things. So one tool you could use is anytime somebody tell you something you need to remember, take notes and use those notes every day, all day. Like make note taking a thing. So each day, look at your notes from the day before. That kind of stuff. Or you could take your phone and say, "Hey, Bixby, Google, whoever you talk to, Siri, Alexa, anybody, Remind me to X, Y, and Z at da 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 da. You gotta literally make yourself do the things so that you can overcome the thing. You know what I'm saying? Focus is another one. They literally cannot. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, we just gonna leave that one at focus. No, just no on the focus. Okay. It's a few, but they literally cannot. Look it up. I want us as a society to be better and be more supportive of these people because they're everywhere. It might be you. I'm telling you, nobody really was taking it seriously till a bunch of adults just started finding out they had ADHD. And now people want to talk about medication all the time. Well, I read the list of medications and I gotta tell you, it's way too long. It's too many mistakes can be made in trying to find the right one or the right combination of them. I ain't doing that to my kid. He's 13. I'ma just keep trying to use restraint and self-control and empathy and all the things that I've been given. But I refuse to do that experiment because when I mess it up, I'm going to mess it up royally. And I know this pattern, so I'm going to just stick with this pattern. We're not going to keep playing with the whole maybe. We ain't getting it right on the first try either. I don't even believe that. So, no, we're not doing it. But the doctor keeps saying, you can start out over with a really low dose. The therapist, really low dose, and see. We're not playing around with it until we sure we want to just watch it, chart it. I don't have time for none of that. Okay? This ain't me being selfish. It's just reality. Life is hard out here. I have responsibilities all over the place. Why would I pick up something and say, let me add this to my plate? My plate been filled for me already. Ain't nobody asked me for permission to put these things on my plate. I got them, though. I'm not just going to go out here and pick up another thing and say, let me just see how this tastes. I don't care about it. I don't want it. So we not doing that. Anyway, they literally cannot remember that. Go in the kitchen above the stove in that cabinet on the right hand side and give me a coffee pod. Am I getting a coffee pod? Hell no. None. Because if he get to the bottom of the steps, he might forget to go to the kitchen. He definitely gonna forget which cabinet I said. And he could possibly forget what he went for altogether. They literally cannot. And I'm so sick of these educators and grown-ups out here talking about, well, I know he can do it if he just tries harder. There are some phrases in this world that make me want to punch people in the face. One of them is, ain't nothing wrong with that boy. And the other one is, he's just not trying hard enough. Coming from a teacher or anybody that was in an IEP meeting with me, it's unacceptable. It's really less tolerable for everybody else, but it's unacceptable from professionals who deal with kids, and kids have challenges and disorders that they're trying to learn. They got to learn how to live in this world, learn how to live and contribute in a household, learn how to live and contribute in a school environment, learn and contribute with a bunch of other kids who got a million other things going on internally right there with them all day, every day. And then we want them to also deal with our ignorance. That's not right. Stop saying it ain't my problem. It is. It's a global humanity problem. It is. Yes, it is. Food child. My son's room looks like a hurricane hit it every day. Usually on Sundays, we weren't here yesterday, but usually on Sundays, I go in there and I stand and I say, do this, do that, do this, do that. And I swear, it makes me so tired. But it's necessary. And I'm still going to keep trying to teach him the skills while balancing with deserving of love, respect, support, empathy, compassion. It's not his fault. They literally cannot. I know it's hard for you to understand because it's really, really hard for me to understand with all the many pages of research I have had in the last 13 years. I still have trouble some days going, why won't you just? I know it's hard. It's so hard. but they literally cannot. Okay? Literally cannot. My daughter walks around with me all the time. We're going to act like none of that stuff is happening in the background because we don't care. We got to focus on what we're doing here. See, we can do that. But my daughter walks around all the time talking about, he always this, and this is so this, and this is a mess, and why? She don't have no understanding, but she got to get some. Here's a thing. A real thing. So, my son in particular, I've been having trouble getting him to come home from school. Like, straight home from school. Well, home ain't really that interesting a place. Because I'm always trying to teach him something. And I'm always getting him to do things so he can exercise these skills that I know he needs in his life. And then I want him to get while I'm here. Because when I'm gone, ain't nobody gonna care. That's the way the world's set up. I'm telling everybody we need to be more responsible, but the fact is, ain't nobody gonna be that responsible. So I need him to have the tools while I'm here. So anyway, come straight home from school. Well, there's a big old world out there. And there's a basketball court everywhere. And there's probably a basketball and some people to play basketball with. So he's more interested in it was basketball. And every day he'll come in and his body language will say he regrets that we have a problem and our communication and our relationship is suffering. But there was basketball and there was people and there was a basketball court and basketball. He feel what he feel, but impulsiveness. They literally cannot. He cannot make himself walk past the basketball court. They literally cannot. Discipline is hard for them. I'm sorry, for my son, it's hard to discipline him because, I heard the perfect thing on TikTok one day. I was minding my business. Usually when I scroll social media these days, it's for things like ADHD, neurodivergence. I'm looking for all the things that will help me in my life today. But this man said, and the way he was speaking, I'm thinking it was like a TED Talk or something, but the words just caught me. He said, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. That's ADHD. It is knowing what you should do, knowing the right thing. And then in the front of your mind, you say, I'm going to do that thing. But you lack the ability to do the thing because your brain will not make the connection from I know this to be right and I will do this thing. Literal disconnect in the brain. You have what he called intention deficit disorder. And that summed it up for me perfectly. They lack the intention to do the thing. They can't. They literally cannot. Okay? So, while everybody around me is, looking at me like something's wrong with me, and I'm talking about my 2 adult children in particular, how can you just let him keep getting away with this and that and the other? First of all, you said I was awful because I was stopping you in your tracks when you was his age. But now you think something's wrong with me because I'm not jumping all over him. How can those 2 things live in the same person? Tell me about that. But you want me to do what exactly? Because you told me I was awful for doing it to you. But forget that part. Why he can't just come home from school? I told you, he needs to be punished. You need to go to his body. He needs that. You're ignorant because you choose to be ignorant. The information is there if you want it. I keep throwing out keywords and terms for you to look up, and every now and then I send a page for you to look at, and If you don't know, it's because you don't want to know. And I feel like applied ignorance is stupidity. If you choose to be ignorant about something, if you choose to walk the path of not knowing and not doing and understanding, then you're stupid because you chose not to know. Only stupid people choose not to know the right stuff, in my opinion. So, Stupidity, in my definition, is applied ignorance. Okay? So anyway, you want to be ignorant about him and the thing. You want to keep acting like, oh, you just making that up because you want people to feel sorry for him. You can get the hell out of my house and stop talking to me, first of all, because we ain't going to have that kind of negativity around here. And you ain't going to tell me how to raise none of my kids. Can I tell you how to raise your son? I doubt it. Either one of y'all. So shut it. But anyway, everybody wants, you to have discipline. They literally cannot. So you got to keep that in mind when you're thinking about discipline or whatever. Anyway, basketball court, it was there. It's always there. You got to walk past it every single day. I don't expect him to fight that urge at all. What I do know is he want to be on the school basketball team. So you know what I did? I let him try out and he made it. You know where he's not going to be every evening? Walking the streets or passing basketball courts out here in these streets. He's going to be in that one place where I can find him and where I know he's probably more safe than walking around this neighborhood. Discipline would have hurt me more than helped me in that particular instance. Because I could have said, you ain't following the rules, you're not being respectful, you're not doing what you know you're supposed to do. Therefore, I'm not going to let you try out. I'm not going to let you have anything that you want because you won't do what you're supposed to do. They literally cannot. And here I am trying to outsmart everybody by doing the thing that I need done, even if it sounds like a bad idea from a disciplinarian standpoint. You know what I'm saying? It ain't easy. None of this is easy. Living with ADHD. I don't have it, but I live with it. And it's trying to run my life. I gotta be smarter, faster. I gotta be in a constant state of, betterment for me, because I gotta have the empathy and the self-control. I can't lunch out and say, why don't you ever, or why do you always? They literally cannot. I'm gonna keep saying it. We all need to keep hearing it. So if you see somebody who has like a chronic issue with whatever, just stop for a second and think to yourself, what if they have ADHD? They fighting a battle inside that you know nothing about. The inability to take your thoughts and turn them into actions. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine always being hyperstimulated by every sensory thing? The world is all sensory. You hear stuff all day long. You see stuff all day long. You taste things, and it just layers and layers and layers of sensory experiences out here. They get trapped. It's like, I imagine it's like being in a crowded room at all times. Imagine just being stuck in a crowded room at all times with just people and things moving and making sounds, and the colors and the lights and the just constant. Can you imagine being trapped in that? I think for 1 second what it would be like, and I would lose my whole damn mind. And then I feel like I'd probably be screaming, give me some medication to slow this down so I can make sense of it. But again, I don't even know. I did this video so many times, but I don't want it to be too long, so maybe not in this video. But I feel like there's so many medications out there. I looked at some lists. There's, you got to first determine, well, the doctor has to help you determine whether there's a need for a stimulant or a depressant. Yeah, it's 2 categories. Which one if you get that wrong, what's going to happen? And then there's so many medications in each category. Ain't no way you getting that right on the first try. The dosage, the combination, it's a study. I did say that because it's like picking up a new thing and putting it on my plate. It's like a commitment to monitoring how that thing affects the life of the person with the ADHD, and then how it interacts with you. I ain't got time. I literally do not have time. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna just keep trying everything I know how to try and give him every, productivity tool I can give him to help them. We're not doing that. So anyway, yeah, they literally cannot. Have I said that lately? And there is light at the end of the tunnel, I gotta tell you, because my son makes outstanding scrambled eggs. That's a process. It's a series of steps. He has mastered it. There's hope. You can help them find the proper tools to navigate life successfully despite having ADHD. We ain't hitting on all cylinders, but he can be taught how to use processes and structure and get past that executive function of, planning and executing. So there's that. He a little 50-50 with the bacon though. Sometimes the pan be way too hot. And I don't know what took his brain off of it, but yeah, something happened today. I do know that he works better with music. I don't know how. It's not my thing, but I ain't gonna knock it. If he has music playing, he's more effective at everything he does. So school has got to be challenging because there's always some woman's voice, and I'm going to say some woman because there's not a lot of male teachers at that school, but some woman's voice probably sounding like my mother always trying to tell me what to do. And he's shutting it all out because some woman trying to tell him what to do. And if she don't fully understand what's going on as an educator, he's going to be turned off and he's not going to learn anything from her. He's not going to want to hear nothing she got to say. And he going to send me text in the middle of the day and go, she's so annoying. He does that often. It's tough out here. Neurodivergent. Brain pathways work differently than what's considered the norm. They literally cannot because their brain is not wired in the way that you and I understand or expect it to be. Therefore, we need to make a concerted effort, to meet them where they are and not let them feel like outcasts because they're different in that way. They literally cannot, but they shouldn't be punished for it. Anyway. All right, well, 12 minutes is good. So I challenge each of you to be more empathetic and compassionate and informed. I challenge you to go on the internet today and learn something about ADHD. Because I'm telling you, it only became a thing when all these grown-ups found out they had it. And now they're reevaluating their lives and relationships to find out that they weren't the problem. ADHD was the problem. We got to separate it. You have it, and you literally cannot many things. However, you're not a bad person for it. You don't need to be punished for it. You just didn't have the resources and the team around you of people who were committed to helping you navigate it properly. And you suffered for that. That's not your fault. That's their fault. Whoever was responsible for helping you become a productive adult should have also been responsible for acknowledging that your mental and emotional were not quite what they thought it should be, or that, what was considered normal at the time. And they did not use those keys, those, those, what do you call them? Oh, God. Those markers that you showed. They did not put it together and say, let's address this, whatever it is. Because they were scared. They didn't want to know what it was, A. Or they, B, decided, ain't nothing wrong with that kid. Just defiant. You know what? A lot of people think that the people with ADHD are defiant. They don't say it because they have ADHD. They look at people and call them defiant, not knowing they have ADHD. Does that make sense? It's not defiance. It's literally, they cannot. Okay? They cannot. I'm going to say it as much as I need to say it. They're not defying you. They're not purposely disrespecting you. They're not purposely ignoring you. They're not purposely changing tracks from what you told them to do. They literally cannot. So, if you know somebody who literally cannot, whatever, it might be that they have ADHD and they don't know how to deal with it yet. So, be kind. Not all disabilities are obvious, and not all disabilities are your business. However, we got to do better as a society in helping our people to feel less ostracized, criticized, demeaned, abused, less unworthy. They have self-esteem issues also when they have ADHD. It just wreaks havoc on things. Do some research. Find out something new today. Okay? Have a great rest of your day.